Yeah, it's been really hot here in LA. There she is.
Yes,
Hi.
I thought I was there, but I guess I wasn't.
It's all right. Sometimes it takes a little bit to kind of get the internet connection. Everybody does these lives kind of at the top of the hour, it seems like. So it's a drain on the internet worldwide.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, it's more about buttons pushing. I've never done it live yet. I just got off with Zoom, so.
Yeah. Have you been Zooming a lot?
Yes, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of interviews. This was a Zoom interview with Kate Rodenbush, who's also a very well-known female artist from Burning Man, and about art with me in Tulum.
Amazing. Cool, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to welcome everybody to the call. We have people that are going to be joining as this kind of pushes out and notifies people to join the call. But the thinking of our call series was really designed to introduce you to artists and creatives, especially during this time of quarantine. And one of the artists that I was really excited to talk about is Laura Kimpton. She's a California-based artist. And I want to talk about, the work. Obviously, you're really well known with the work that you've done at Burning Man.
Yes.
But you're so much more than that. You've done so much more than just those large sculptures. So
I've done 18 pieces in 15 years. So, and only 14 have been words.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the first word that you displayed at Burning Man?
Well, can I give a little background about what I did before?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Start with your background. Like, how did you get started?
Okay, so I've always been a collage, assemblage, photographer, artist. I'm a trained photographer, but and then in 2003 I went to Burning Man because my daughter was 2 and I wanted to get back into the art world. I was living in the Bay Area, and it kind of was I had to for artists.
Sure.
So 2003 I went and got to just be a participant with the art. And 2004 and 5 I built an art car, like a big steel Laura Ingalls Pioneer wagon pulled by a flaming unicorn. So that was fun. So we would move it around the playa and just stop for like 6-7 hours. So it was moving art, and see people who would get up on it and push the button for puffers. And so that was fun. And then that year I was like 2000, was it 3, 4, 5, 6? I was a flaming lotus girl, which is kind of a way to start at Burning Man if you want to be a flame artist.
Okay.
So they're a group of women kind of out of Bay Area who build together as a group amazing, huge flame art. It's mainly propane and methanol projected. So that year I worked on the Serpent Mother, which was like a 100-foot snake that was around a methanol egg. And I had to work my butt off because the year before I gave them money to do their piece, and I was one of the first people to give money out at Burning Man. It was just $1,000, but it was a lot. And then they were like, "You can't call yourself a Flaming Lotus girl unless you work your butt off."
So you had to prove yourself.
Yeah, I had to prove myself. It wasn't the one thing cool about Burning Man is if you come from the wealth, you have to. That like is a disadvantage. Like they make you get down and dirty, and which is really good. And I always was. I mean, I was raised nice, but I wasn't raised. My father didn't start his hotel business until I was 18. Yeah. So and then it was like, struggling for quite a few years. So, so I got down and dirty, and I was in charge on Saturday night of the methanol egg, which went 100 feet in the air every hour, and it was so hot. And I learned that I wanted to make flame art, but I didn't want to protect it.
Yeah.
So the next year I came up with my own piece, which was called Celtic Forest. And that was, so that was 6 and 7. And by 7, we had 9 things on fire, methanol, propane, from 4 feet, burning books, moats, and 100 feet. I had a 16-foot, 3-page book you could turn with a puffer that went 100 feet in the air, and 30-foot flaming trees. And so a crew of 60 people.
Insane.
And you have to keep the 60 people that are working that night off of party drugs, and then you have to keep the people that are coming backing up to the moat
away from the fire, so
the fire, because they have that junk jackets on, those like polyesters that'll go up and like flame in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And so I was driving home to my ranch, and my husband at the time, Jeff Schomburg, who builds what I envisioned, said he needed a year off. And so I was like, oh, it's kind of funny, but story. I don't want to lose my truck out of Burning Man, because if you're an artist, you get to drive to your art piece.
Sure.
So I was like, I got to come up with a simpler idea, because this is like not a simpler idea. And one night I came up with this idea that I thought since I'm a dyslexic, I visualize. I can go to every museum I've ever been to. I can go to my classrooms. I can't remember any name of anything. And up until then, Hollywood was the only big word. I never saw a big word in a museum. I never saw a big word. Now you see big words in every ad and every Survivor and every show. And I'm like, wow, what if I was a dyslexic that got known for big words? How fucking funny that would be. And also, I knew how powerful words were. Yeah. Because I got held back by them. And I'm a meditator, so I also like don't mind that I don't have I have a small storage in my head for words, but visually I'm great. And so it was about Earth Year, which I don't do themes out there, but I don't really like that it was Earth Year, because I don't like to remember that we're on Earth. But I decided that, wow, I'm going to do Mom, because I'm a big Mother Earth person, and I'm going to do it backwards.
And you're a mom.
Yeah, and I was a mom, so and I'm going to do it backwards, because mom backwards dyslexic is mom. Yeah. Sorry, I have allergies, so I'm going to have a little problem.
It's okay. It's okay.
So mom was my first word. And the funny thing is, I put it, if you're a burner, you understand that the Esplanade is the road between the camp and then the 8 miles of art. Okay. So when you come out of camp, you come to through the Esplanade, and I put mom at the Esplanade, and I kept on getting busted for driving my truck, because you can only go to your art piece, because you can fill gas or hand out stuff. And I'm interesting enough, I'm one of the few artists that drive my truck. Mine's painted. It looks like an art piece. Yeah. So the next year I did Oink at the 8 Mile fence. So I always could be driving to my art piece. So they couldn't be busting me. And then the next year, because the O was people's favorite letter, because you can lie in there, you can cuddle in there. Makes sense, yeah. And Oink I have a psychological reason for it, but it was also funny to see Oink, 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 oink with light out there back when there wasn't that many LEDs, because it was just flame art. So that was back what year? That would have been 2010. Okay. And also 2010 was when the Republican convention was going on. So a lot of people, I guess political people, weren't there. And on the Esplanade, things were made out of cardboard. And now the parties on the Esplanade are, $2 to $10 million, stages. So so you can see Oink, Oink, Oink. And so then the next year, it's always a time when the word comes up for me. It's just like, that's the word. And I got to do love. It's obviously, I have to do an O word. And I thought people would find it kind of like obvious, but I also thought people would be mad about mom, and they weren't. I got a lot of people who came up to me and said I saved their life, because they were out there raging, and then they saw mom, and they're like, oh, I need to slow it down for my mom's sake. Yeah. So I did love, and that's the first year, and I can't say I allow people to climb on my work. It was the first year that art photographs came out with, just like right here with Believe, and it makes the photographs so much better. So I don't give permission, but I don't stop, because I can't say for liability. Yeah, of course. So the Believe, when you look at Believe, because you're dyslexic, what do you see? Well, so dyslexia's not always about seeing things backwards. Because I should know more. It's more about that. Well, it's my own analyzing of it. So I have a master's in psychiatry, but I don't read much, so it's not other people's theories, it's mine. But I read right to left. Okay. So I'm so right brain. I mean, literally, like everything. So when I cross over to go to left, it puts me to sleep. Wow. It's like, and then I also don't, like, I have no storage for words. Like my daughters, I obviously married my first husband was a linguistic genius, besides being the video man for the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
Besides that, I got a laminate.
Yeah.
Many. I surpassed my vocabulary when she was 5.
Yeah.
Like way. She taught me contrail and diurnal when she was 3. So I don't learn by words, and I don't remember words. So I learn by images. So that's a little bit on the right brain spatial. So it's not that, like, I'll write things backwards and I'll spell things backwards. And yes, we did have to look up how to spell believe.
So what year was the Believe sculpture?
So Believe came after. So 2011 was Love, and 2012 I did Ego.
Okay.
So
what was the inspiration for Ego?
So I had a solo show in San Francisco in 2010, and I was playing with resin and photos and junk, and one of the pieces I made was a 2-dimensional. We made a mold of the word ego, and we filled it with trophies, and then we poured resin and popped out, and it was a 2D piece.
Okay.
And one of my biggest collectors bought it, and he's a huge collector, Joby Pritzker. And so I had this thought, like, did he own that idea? Like, could I do that again? Because it's one of my best ideas I ever came up with. And so while sitting there with my now 9-year boyfriend, then we were just friends, he and I decided, what if we made it huge and burned it at Burning Man? So we made it 30 feet by 60 feet, made out of over 10,000 molds of trophies, religious relics, and burned. And then spray painted it gold and brought it out there, which we have images of. And it was unbelievably gorgeous. And people were like, don't, because it looked kind of like Italian church. Like, and people were like, don't burn that, don't burn that. And I'm like, well, for first place, that's the point.
Yeah.
And plaster Paris and wood wouldn't stand up in my backyard. And and the piece was, and what I love about my pieces is people can take away whatever they want to take away. But I sit at my piece, so I give, that's my first time I got on Rolling Stone magazine, but I sit in my piece, and, you know, I'm kind of a little bit of a preacher on my subject. Celtic Forest was about that we're not number one on earth, and that left brain. The
connection with your roots too, right?
Yeah. And that left brain wasn't superior to right brain, like it is told in school. So, I mean, I was pretty much told I was retarded, which I don't really had a problem with because it gave me freedom.
Yeah.
I got to make art, do whatever I wanted in the backseat. I didn't listen to anything except for math. I'm very good at math.
Do you think that pushed you because people said, oh, she can't read, or it's difficult for her to read? That forced you into being more creative, or you were just naturally, it was just a gift?
Oh my God, no. I grew up in the North Shore of Chicago, and I used to build forts constantly, and I'm really good at sports. So my intelligence is spatial in sports. I'm off the charts. So my street, we all played sports, and not only was I chosen the first woman, but I was probably better than 90% of the boys. So I played ice hockey for 5 months a year on our, you know, if there was professional ice hockey, I would have been one, but I would be very in pain right now at 56. So. Yeah.
I was talking to my mom yesterday. I said, Mom, I can't wait for you to watch this interview with Laura. She's such a badass.
Yeah.
I said, just FYI, she may drop the F-bomb, and because my mom, you know, I love my mom, but I love it because you're so real and authentic, and you're, you know, I was watching some of your old videos this morning of you creating the Celtic Forest, and you're just so hands-on. I mean, all artists are hands-on, but you're, in some way, you're just mentally, emotionally, spiritually so connected, and it's so integrated in your work.
I mean, like, that's been kind of sad for the last 4 or 5 years with the words, because I'm not allowed to weld on them anymore because I'm not a licensed welder, and they go out to cities.
Yeah.
So that's what Art With Me is. I'm really excited about, because I'm building 2 pieces down there with a crew, but I'm going to be hands-on. They're word art, but they're not words. And so for me to get back in, and then this lockdown, like I'm a oil painter, collager, everything else. So this lockdown, I've been making 3 pieces a day. I mean, I'm not finished with the 3 pieces, but I have done nothing but make art. And so to get back into it, because I spent almost the last 4 years mainly schmoozing. I mean, I did a solo in New York 2 years ago, a huge one.
Right.
So, so I've been spending so much time on selling and schmoozing and interviewing and going to places that I haven't had my hands dirty in a while.
Yeah.
So Tulum, I got my hands dirty, and then I'm getting my hands dirty now. But in the beginning, I not only managed it, raised it, did the crew, welded, made art. You know, it was very, up until Love was the last one. I was told I wasn't allowed to weld. It's kind of a funny story. I bought a temple by a man named Shrine, who did the temple after David Best, who's a big temple builder, and the crew was there putting it up, and they walked by my welding, and oink. And I was welding like a sewer. Welding, you're supposed to. And he announced to everybody on my ranch, I had a 75-acre ranch at the time, that if I didn't stop welding, he would stop going to Burning Man. And so, because of that's not where my talent is. And now I build huge things I now have to let other people at parts of it.
Sure.
But now I'm getting dirty. So, but yes, I always made art. It wasn't a question. And one, being raised kind of like a large family, a little bit, definitely neglected. So and then at school, neglected. God, I had freedom. I wouldn't do it any other way. I'm not too sure what they're doing with the dyslexic kids now I would approve of.
So was it difficult for you to kind of break away from family traditions that you had at all? Or
no, because I was raised in this very large family, and I wasn't raised by I was raised by my father, but when I come to see him in San Francisco, he was working full time. Like, you could see him. We had a house in SWAT. We could see him when we ski or, for the weekend. But I was kind of I raised myself. So my mother would have loved me to be a debutante, but that wasn't going to happen. I had 2 different shoes on. So or no shoes, and like dirty. And so my older sister by a year was the president of the class and the prom queen. And so she got to live through that. Yeah. And I didn't come into any of my looks. I looked like a boy until I was 16, and it was fun for me because I got to do what I wanted to do. So I was always making art. So, So people say, when did you start? When I came out.
It's always, you've always been an artist.
No, and I hung out in the ceramics department in high school.
So the challenge that you have with like the social interaction, or that, I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yes, my favorite part.
Yeah, so talk about that, the inspirations for that.
So right before Burning Man, I had a solo show in San Francisco and a solo show in New York, and for my 2-dimensional work. And so then I went to Burning Man, and I had wanted to be a sculptor, but photography was so much easier for me. So I got my BFA in photography, and so I saw that it's like standing in galleries is really, really does nothing for me, except for my new show I did in New York. I did a big performance piece. So, but standing around white walls with cheap wine, and I'm also a good party thrower. So it's
yes, you are.
Yeah, I've thrown some really good parties. You missed out, but and so especially on my 75-acre ranch that I lived on for 10 years in Point Reyes, and so it was very difficult for me. And I remember a moment I had a show in San Francisco, and at the time I probably was the wealthiest I've ever been. My dad had just died, and I inherited some money. And all I cared about was the red dot, not even needing the money. And also people in the room were like being changed by my art, because I had a dollhouse and like little people in there and like rooms. And I was doing like, very Cornell, Rauschenberg, Ansel Kiefer. And so artwork, but it was like, God, it was like killing me. I hated it. And so for Burning Man, it's experiential. So, and I remember, so like Celtic Forest, people there were 14 buttons to push for flame to come out. And I think I'm the only person who got to put a 40-foot container out on the playa. Half of it was for my methanol and propane, and half of it was an Amsterdam cafe, carpet and everything. And then the top, I had a roof. Yeah. So to watch people, and I'm one of the few artists that sit at my work. And so to watch people interact with my art and me to talk about my message, one of my funny stories was this woman at Celtic Forest came up to me and said, I'm the Scrabble champion of the world. Who knew there was a Scrabble champion of the world?
Yeah, who knew?
And she goes, is this piece about anti-intellectualism? And I'm like, no, this is about the right brain and left brain. Right brain people are intellectual. And so to have these discussions with people were so beautiful. So even so, when the words came out, like this year, like I sit in my truck and people don't, I mean, it's so funny. They'll ask me to get out of the way, and
yeah,
they have no idea that the artist is sitting there. So I don't let friends tell people, because it's after a while it gets a little overwhelming. But this year, a friend of mine, Nicolette, how we know each other, came up to me and said, you have to talk to this girl. And she was 21 and she was crying. And she'd seen my words since she was 14. And just to climb on my words, I mean, and that it was love this year again, because I realized it was stainless steel. I mean, it was aluminum, so it was silver. And the last one came out was like 8 years ago. So a lot of people hadn't seen it. And so this is the one that's at Reno right now, at the Reno hospital.
Yeah, talk about that. So you just donated that, or you just loaned that one, or sent it there, rather?
So usually it's a donation because people pay for even when I rent it, but it's right at the entrance of the Reno hospital.
And you just did that?
Yeah, we just put it up last week. And it's
beautiful.
Just so beautiful. And the experience of coming back of it is the same when I get a Burning Man, but it's like hospital workers are gathering there and hopefully wash their hands, because metal's the worst of all the transference for COVID-19. So but they hang there and they walk by it, and then the patients, and then the families, and
beautiful.
My family has a foundation, and we work with mainly just mental health alternative, and we find that people who do mindfulness before going into surgery need less drugs when they come out and recover quicker.
I believe that.
Someone coming in and seeing love right there, they have no choice to read it. It's huge.
Yeah.
It brings the heart. And for me to be able to give something back during this time, besides interviews and this. So,
yeah, of course.
So to me, my art making is two things. It's never the product. It's the process of making it, which I'm doing now so much. And then the interaction of the people. And besides Burning Man, you and Venice Biennale in Italy, those are the only two places where you can interact with art and there's nothing for sale.
Yeah.
And that is way more important to me than anything. And I've pretty much given 15 years of my life to it. I have, well, besides going on Wise for a Panic tour. But.
Well, and you mentioned our friend Nicolette here in LA. We reconnected, but when we met the very first time in New York at Omar's, and I was at Omar's, and you, I don't know how many years ago that's been. Probably six, 7 years ago, something. Yeah. So I remember walking into Omar's, and it was downstairs. I think it closed now. That location.
That one. He has two other ones.
Yeah. But I walked down and I saw the love sculpture there, and I was just like, who is this? Yeah. And I asked Omar, I said, I have to meet the artist. Who is it? And you were having dinner, and that's when I met you for the very first time. And then we reconnected years later here in Los Angeles. But that's the love. That
changed Omar's, by the way. The fact that he put it in the bar where the bar was so teeny, so you had to walk through it. And then he has all those rooms outside, and that was like this wildest time. I mean, pretty much it had closed down after that because the neighbors upstairs complained.
I remember, yeah.
But
it was a lot of fun.
It was so good.
Those are the good old days in New York. I know. Talk about like your wearable art. I mean, I think that's something we don't talk about. Maybe you don't talk about enough of. And my sister called me this morning and was like, "Hey, I want to ask about the wearable art."
Yeah. So I'll stand up. These are
show us.
These are my pants. So, and this is my necklace. And so for the year that my daughter was 15, 16, I went from 75-acre house to an 800 square foot house. So my daughter could live in the town of Fairfax and run around with her friends. And I didn't want her driving down this 2.5-mile dirt road to come to my ranch. And she was really mad later on because she said, "Oh my God, I would have had raves and grown. I can't, grown." And I'm like, yeah, one reason I left.
Yeah.
So I really had, it's almost like having a baby at that age, because you have to be straight. You have to be ready at any time to take care of problems. And my house is where all the kids hung out. So I gave her the bigger bedroom. It was a very small house. And so I literally had a room the size of a king size bed. So what I did is I made oil paintings, and I can grab two, and I made art. I made art every day. That was I put out a thing that I'm making art 365 days a year, and I made it in bed.
Yeah.
And so what I do is I get a box and I rip up book pages, and then I take a lot of stencils, and then I oil paint them in. And so this is an oil painting.
Show us.
Which is probably, I don't know where. Oh, I can go get it. I'll be right back.
Yeah, can you get it? Okay.
Yeah, you can look at my words while I'm.
Yeah, look at magic and believe. You guys ask them questions. I see a lot of. I see some burners on here too. So David, if you have any questions for her, I'm going to ask her like her greatest inspirations.
Oh,
there's so many. I have 3 pages of questions for you. We're not going to get to all of my questions.
It's okay.
I want you guys to ask questions.
I don't really have anything to do either. So I mean, I'm in lockdown. So I take a canvas box.
That's cool.
Or any box, and then I lay out what I want to draw with black marker, and then I oil paint it in. And so I made probably over 100 of them. So there wasn't something I wanted to give, wasn't willing to sell. This was a very major part of my thing. So I met this man named Benjamin in the Grateful Dead world, and he had a dye sub machine. So what it means is, and these are all made out of recycling water bottles.
What, the pants?
Fabric.
The fabric is okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he takes the fabric and he heat transfers the images onto the fabric, and then you cut what you want. And I have a whole line called "She's Got Wings." Like this is a silk scarf.
Oh, beautiful.
And yeah, so I had it for sale for a while, but because I was traveling so much, I couldn't keep up with the demand of getting it in the mail. So what I'm doing now, because I really have an issue with that, my pieces, my two-dimensional pieces, which are a lot of work, are $20,000 and above, or I have a few for $8,000, and then my sculptures are $100,000 above, and I really would love everybody to be able to own my pieces. Yeah. So I'm starting a company that I'm going to spend the next. I'm like literally not going to travel. I don't know who's going to travel, but called A Piece as in peace and love of Kimpton. And you can go, I'll have a website, Instagram, Facebook, and you'll be able to buy my art from like $15.95 to $400.
I love that.
And so what I'm doing is I couldn't figure out the sizes, and I have a lot of inventory. So what I'm going to do is take a photograph of a particular pair of pants and say it's this size, and do you want this pair of pants, instead of these are all my fabrics. Small. I have this many small, medium, large. I couldn't keep up with that, so I finally solved that problem.
What are your greatest inspirations, would you say?
God, Rauschenberg changed my life, but somebody, I don't know, I must have been 6 or like in 2nd or 3rd grade. And one of the special ed teachers, which by the way, special ed English was the best thing ever. It was the hottest boys. so I mean, I'm off the charts in math. So they only put me in one class, in English. So great place. But one of the special ed teachers, and I wasn't in special ed, it was just that one class, taught me Kurt Schwitter. And Kurt Schwitter invented collage during World War II, and he just picked up garbage off the ground, and it changed my life. So, because I can draw, but I got in trouble for drawing, so it's got a trauma with it for me. So I'm getting that back right now, working on that.
Been doing a lot of digital art, right?
Yeah, I'm loving my iPad and the pen and my Procreate. Oh my God, I'm loving it. And I'm really just right now, not even tracing. I'm just drawing.
So I love your collages. Can we talk about that a little bit more? Because you said Rauschenberg was one of your inspirations.
Yeah, I'll be right back again.
Show us some, because her collages, you guys, are great. That's why I wanted to have this call, because she's so well known for the big sculptures at Burning Man. But has created so much more than just the sculptures.
Yeah. So like.
Thank you, David.
I can answer questions while looking, but
yeah, you guys pop some.
So this is one of my favorites. So I don't know. Here you go.
Very cool.
And that's really, really big, and it's it's collage of digital plus drawing plus nails plus the middle is 3D. Mm-hmm. It's about 4 inches deep, and it's filled with resin and birds, and also this part was eaten by a mouse. While in my storage, so I made this with a mouse, which I love.
So are you spending much time doing the collages right now, or you're focusing more on the digital art on the iPad right now in quarantine?
I'm doing digital. I'm doing my favorite thing I'm doing right now is I get paint by numbers, mm-hmm. and I don't follow any color. I don't look at any color, but I follow parts of it, and then I do the rest myself. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing that, and then I'm painting my bathroom floor right now, and then I'm going to start doing the collage part. I don't have, since I moved to Venice, I don't have the pieces for them, so because they're all in storage right now. I have a 5,000 square foot studio up in Marin, mm-hmm. so I hadn't decided to settle here yet, and now I'm settled. So I'm going to be at a good time to be looking for a studio right after this, because things are going to be
good price. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Good prices.
So I'm going to locate myself near Rose, near the new Wabi Sabi.
So you were supposed to be exhibiting at the Art With Me festival in Tulum, right? And you were there in Tulum right before the pandemic really broke out.
I was there for almost in and out for 3 months. I have David Graziano, when he hired me, I said that my schedule had to go around Widespread Panic tours. I was there or at Widespread Panic tour, and that's a band I've been following since '88. Mm-hmm. And and then I got in lockdown there for 6 weeks with nothing, and I only left the house 4 days. But because when Trump said that the U.S. were closing our borders, everybody flew in. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't go then because it was like 9 hours to 2 days in customs, especially LAX. Yeah. And I have diabetes. And so I'm one of the high risk, and I'm 56. And I have piece of being alone in that situation would have been horrible for me. So I was mm-hmm. in a beautiful place. And then I saw this window open where there was nobody at the airports. And so I bought a flight, and I was the last United flight out of Tulum. Out of Cancun. Oh God. And there was only 4 of us on the flight.
Yeah. Wow. I'm so happy you made it back. We have a question. What was your Burning Man piece this year, and will it be revealed in Multiverse?
So I'm working with a group right now just for my camp, and then we'll talk to Burning Man about it, about setting up a virtual reality. Okay. So this year my piece, well, now it's changed so many times because I probably would do Heal if I was really gonna, if we were allowed to do Burning Man, because that's what we need to do is heal, mm-hmm. and the earth needs to heal. But what I was gonna do, because I said goodbye to the playa last year, and people say I've said that before, but I spent my last 15 years 100% on that, and I was looking for something else, mm-hmm. and I just felt I had done it. And my daughter's now a burner, and she kind of want to be out there without her mom. And so I was, in November, I was kind of going through a little mini depression, mm-hmm. because I just felt like I had done everything I'd ever wanted to do, mm-hmm. which is strange. I traveled the world. I'd done everything, thanks to my venture, and thanks to my dad, and thanks to other things. So I couldn't think of anything I really was searching for. And then I went to a meditation with my daughter right before Thanksgiving. No, I think that's why I was there visiting my daughter up in the Bay Area Thanksgiving. So it was right after Thanksgiving. And I had a vision to do a 30-foot silver ampersand, an and symbol. And so I still love that because it's and what's next. Mm-hmm. And what's next for me. But so even though I wasn't going to go, my art can still go.
Yeah.
Because I have a great crew. And so and oh my God, and it's two O's on top of each other. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, people would have like loved that. Mm-hmm. So I am at some point going to do a 30-foot and symbol. And I kind of like that I'm going more into the symbols, because with texting now, like my haha, period, mm-hmm. is I'm playing with things that people are using. And it's also, it's so I'm doing that. And then 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from David Graziano. And my life had turned to art with me. And I'm building for them, That's in
Tulum, you guys.
Yeah. That's in Tulum.
Yeah.
It's right now it's scheduled for November.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully the world is at a situation where we can do that. And I'm building an art forest out of steel trees that kind of look like aspen trees out of steel, with mm-hmm. words and birds cut out of them, with lights in them. And you wander around, and then you end up at a bird's nest in the middle. Cool. And then a 30-foot beach umbrella on its side, where you can go in there with pillows, and then birds and inspirational quotes will be cut out that will light on you. So I'm working on that. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Can we talk about, we share this passion with meditation, and I told you recently that I did the 10-day Vipassana meditation in Two Palms and here in California, and it was complete isolation of no talking, noble silence for 10 days. And for me, I did that right before. I did that in January. I got February 4th, I think. And then, of course, everything happened with the pandemic. And now I've been alone for 7 weeks or 7 weeks by myself.
So well, that's probably not that hard then.
It's actually not been that difficult. It's difficult, but it's not at the same time, because of the mental stamina that I developed during Vipassana. And you and I share that passion with meditation,
especially Vipassana.
Vipassana, yes. So can you talk about your inspiration of that and your journey there?
I lucked out that my father was so he got to a point in his life where he had 3 houses, 2 planes, a boat, a hot girlfriend, and found out he still was depressed. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't solving his depression. So he went to Spirit Rock, which is outside of the Bay Area, and went on 10-day meditation retreats. And he went to the one you went to every year. So for, I'd say 20 years. Oh. And he built Spirit Rock. He raised the $100 million to build Spirit Rock for Jack Kornfield in West Marin. So I called him up. I think it was right after. It was a time I hadn't gone to San Francisco Art Institute yet. I think it was afterwards, but it was a time in my life before kids. And my issues were more physical pain because of my PTSD. Mm-hmm. I have loud voices, and I understood them and I analyzed them, but I just wasn't on my path. Mm-hmm. So I called him up and I said, Dad, I need help. And he said, go to Jack Kornfield's 10-day meditation retreat in Barre, Massachusetts in 3 days. And I'd never meditated in my entire life. So I went, and you don't have a choice. You learn it. He teaches you how to do it, and you don't have a choice. And in like day 4, I started to hysterically cry.
Yeah.
I cried for 2 days straight. And
the pain that you go through with sitting, I went
well, it's not even that. Things came up about my childhood. I'm a survivor of childhood abuse of all ways, non-family, and so all that came up, and it was amazing. Oh, I got to a point where you could meditate where you didn't feel your body anymore. And so it was life changing. And I remember I got 2 women knocked on my door like day 3 into my crying to see if I was okay, which I know they came from their heart, but then my crying stopped. Mm-hmm. My process completely stopped. So I don't think they should have done that. And I was meeting with Jack every day. But then the last day, which taught me so much, I don't know if you guys did this, you sit in a group of 10 people and you start talking for the first time.
Yeah.
And so the first question people ask, when did you sign up for this? And everybody's like, a year, 2 years. And I'm like, 3 days.
3 days ago.
And so all the attention turned on me. You could pick it up that like, who the fuck is this bitch?
Right.
And then they're like, how many times you get to meet with Jack? And some people are like 0, once, twice. I'm like, every day. And then envy came to me. I could see, and that was one of my issues.
Yeah.
So envy came quickly to me, and I was like, I got into that depression again and that feeling again. And it was somewhat my fault. I should have picked up on it. That not to say it. So I ended up going out and shoveling the whole parking lot on snow. And people were like, no, I can take the shovel back. I'm like, no, you can't. And I got out of that by physical. But yeah. So I did too. And then now it's more, I'm mindful. I just did a meditation retreat in Tulum the same time you did. So
yeah.
Then I just did more, I meditated and did yoga a lot. And then I was more mindful all the time, like in line and everything. And then just going on a meditation retreat, I've been meditating every day, which has been amazing.
So what advice can you give people that are watching right now, or maybe watching for the replay, to stay mentally strong during this time?
Well, so I went on Vortex retreat, which wasn't really a meditation retreat. It was like dance and music and many different things and breathing. And one of the best things they do, and I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, it's theater therapy, where they have people in the room represent people in your family and you act out something. Well, I got to do this thing where and I already had done this already, but not seeing it, but I've done it in my head. They lined up 6 rows of 2 chairs and then 1 chair. And they said, you sit in the 1 chair, you're driving your bus. And then name the different people that are in your head. And it's you, but tones. So you have your angry person, your worry person, your kid person, your judging person. And so for this time, because I've been doing a lot of, we're helping about 5 or 6 people right now. And what I'm helping them with is their head. And so to understand and start labeling, now I notice, like, when my neighbor's air conditioning's on, it drives me crazy because of the sound, but I play music loud. So what but the moment my angry voice comes up, like, oh my God, and I'm like, I move it out of the way and I drive the bus. Right. And the moment my worry voice comes on, and worry doesn't help you. Critical thinking helps you. But worry just makes the thing happen more. And
it does. You're drawing in more of that energy, for sure.
Yeah. Learning as a mother that worry only makes it more likely to happen. So kind of right now, besides, everybody can be creative or declutter their house or learn something on the internet to help your career go on. And so besides that, really starting to, and I journal a lot now, learn about the different tones you have in your voice, in your head.
Yeah.
And see who the one that drives the bus. And I don't know if you know this, but most of the time when we're thinking outside our head on the top right, because I studied NLP therapy. And try to wiggle your toes is my number one therapeutic thing. And if you wiggle your toes, you'll think through your heart.
Beautiful.
Because you have to pay attention to, when you wiggle your toes, you have to pay attention to your toes, which connects you to the earth. And then now you're thinking through your body, not up here.
That's I love that. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
I just came up with it on my own when I was nervous one time talking to Nick Pritzker, and I didn't understand a word he was saying, and I didn't want him to see, like, me getting all nervous because he didn't even need me to talk.
Yeah.
So I started wiggling my toes, and I was like, oh, it came into my body. So
that makes sense. It totally makes sense. It's pulling the energy down through your heart and to the ground. I try to. Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, do that thing that you send vines to the earth. And you take it right to the top, right where the core of the earth is. You don't go into the core, but you take it to that. And if you do that all day long, you'll be more grounded. And another thing I do, I don't have to do it right now, but when I'm off and I have that voice that I don't like in my head, I just go, I'm not listening to you. And I sometimes say it 100 times a day.
Yeah. No, I like that too. I mean, yeah, I think through the isolation for all of us, I mean, I have some friends that are really having a hard time. Others are really flowering and blooming and, and being more creative. So I think for all of us, I think that's really good advice. And I love that you came on to share you know, the inspirations of your work and some stories with us. And I'd like to, you know, come back when we can actually go into your studio. You know, maybe we go into your.
I don't have a studio right now.
Well, when you do get the
when I do, yeah. So when I get one on Rose, so like I came down to Venice to follow my daughter to college, and then she went back up to the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. So and then I hadn't figured out where I wanted to settle, and I'm 100% here in Tulum, but I'm going for the next year. I'm going to learn. I was only home 30 days last year, so like I was traveling the world.
You were gone a lot.
I was gone. So this year I'm going to settle, make art every day, and put them in packages. And you know, you can get birds, or you can get my necklaces, or you can buy
the piece of Kimpton. I'm excited about that project, and then just to work with you on some more projects here. I'm glad you're not traveling. I've been traveling a lot over the last couple of years too, and I had planned to just be, you know, more in California this year, and then this happened, so I'm being forced to, which is I actually like. I mean, I love it. I love California so much.
Yeah. So no, I'm so psyched to be in my studio every day making small pieces, and then I'll be down in Tulum making big pieces. And I'm going to have a disclaimer on my website that you will get it within a month. But you own the piece. It'll just be there within a month. Or it can be the next day.
Just be patient for the shipping. I get it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you. And then enjoy you that we've connected, and I enjoy that we share somewhat of a name.
I know. Kimpton and Kimpton. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for your beautiful energy and for the inspirational art that you're creating, and stay safe and healthy, and I'll talk to you soon.
And create. People can do puzzles. Like, I'm finding puzzles would be fun. So there's always ways to be creative. And one of my things I talk about is that people come up to me all the time and said, I want to be an artist. I want to be an artist. And I'm like, I'm not an artist because I make product. I'm an artist because I live the way I live. So be an artist.
Your way of expression,
the way I like live my life. So, and they're like, I can't draw. I'm like, I can't draw. So I'm gonna learn, but and I did know how to draw when I was young. So like anybody out there who wants to be an artist, be an artist. Like, just, you know, you can start off by doing a paint by number or a puzzle or whatever. You don't have to and then writing and drawing, and no one has to see it.
Yeah.
It's the process.
That's good advice. Yeah. I'm going to take that advice and get some canvas and try it too.
I have a hard time starting with a blank canvas. I have to tell you. Like, to me, that's why I put book pages all over it.
So I want to talk to you more about, because both my grandmothers were painters. So I don't know if I ever told you that, but
no.
Yeah, I have a lot of art kind of on both sides of my family. That's why I am in the art world, I guess, just because of that. But anyway, we'll end the call for now, but we'll do this. I'm going to do this again with you. Thank you so much, Laura.
Great.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I'll talk to you soon.
I don't even know how to get off.